What's up, everybody? Let everybody get in here right quick. As advertised, I am extremely excited to be with y'all today. Appreciate everybody coming through on this fine afternoon, evening, or wherever you are tuning in around the world. This is a very, very important time, especially within our country, but a time to have some really cool conversations, as I have in the past with some very important people. And we kind of want to double back to somebody very important that is in a very important race in the East Coast out of the beautiful state of Georgia. Leader Stacey Abrams. Excited to have her on to talk about all of her work to combat voter suppression, to energize voting rights, but also her candidacy for the governor of the great state of Georgia. So in that gubernatorial race, we wanted to bring her on and see what she's talking about and really understand why it's so important that we all participate, get activated in terms of getting registered to vote, exercising your right to vote, no matter where you are, and also telling all your people in Georgia to get out and vote for Stacey. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Leader Abrams onto the call. We're going to have some fun with it. Y'all stay tuned. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're blessed. Excited about basketball season. And there she is. Hello, Stacey. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We're just starting our season. So we're just getting into the thick of things, but you've been in your season. I don't know if your season ever stops.
It doesn't seem to, but I will take it up with management.
Absolutely. It's exciting to have you on. Thank you so much. It's been amazing watching your campaign, watching all the amazing work that you've done. Again, throughout your career, but definitely most recently in terms of speaking for the people, being there for the people, educating them on their right to vote, all the work that you've done to fight voter suppression, not just in your state but across the country. And we're excited to have you on to kind of learn some more about how we can all continue to get activated, participate, and some issues that are near and dear to your heart as the election comes near for the governor of Georgia. And very excited about what you're going to do when you get that seat, and hoping that everybody who is in Georgia that is eligible and ready and registered to vote, and anybody who's not, telling all your people in Georgia to get out there and support Stacey. So one, I just want to again thank you for being here, and I guess I'll just start with just kind of a question about where we are. I know the presidential election has kind of been at the forefront of everybody's minds as of late, especially with our elections in the fall. And a lot of people kind of understand the power that comes with the presidency, but many people might not know how important the governor is and the power that job entails. So as you continue to campaign, tell us, help us understand the power and why people should truly care about who their governor is.
Well, first of all, Steph, thank you so much for having me and for that question. So here's the thing. We know about the presidency because people spend billions of dollars telling us about it. Every day there's something about the president on TV. They even make television shows about the president. They save the world from aliens. We know about the president. We often know about mayors because they're closest to the people. And again, those are elections that happen every 4 years, and we get a lot of attention because mayors are really close to everyday things. But governors have the most power that no one knows about.
All right.
So when Congress sends down billions of dollars to your state to say this money should go to your community, it doesn't go directly to your mayor. It goes to the governor. And the governor decides how much of that money gets divided up and to whom it gets directed. And that's why you can live next door to a community, same number of people, but they've got more stuff than you do. And that's often determined by who the governor is and who the state legislature is. So the mayor can be asking for as much as she wants, and the president can be sending as much as he should. But if the governor decides you don't deserve it, you don't get it. And in Georgia, that means that we don't get health insurance. Medicaid expansion is something the governor can help make happen. And because he won't do it, 500,000 people don't get health insurance. And that means that somebody who goes to the doctor and finds out they've got cancer can't come back and see that doctor unless they have money out of pocket or they're about to die, because they can't come back for regular treatment. Or when your rent goes up in the state of Georgia, the mayor can't do anything about it. We don't have rent control or any of those other inclusionary zoning because the governor won't sign a law saying that cities can do it. And so I like to put it this way. Stand your ground laws, those weren't from Congress. Those came from governors. The breaking of the social safety net, governors. Mass incarceration didn't start with the 94 crime bill. It started with the governor of California. And Jim Crow never had a single federal law. Stripping Black people of citizenship after Reconstruction happened by 9 governors. And so if that's how much power governors have, imagine what could happen if a governor had the power to do things right, to put money in your communities, to protect your civil rights, and to make sure that you got the same resources as everyone else.
And first off, I just love hearing you talk because you get me so juiced just on somebody honoring the power and the ability to impact people's lives in a material way. Obviously, this is very tumultuous times, and anytime you say anything, you got people on one side or the other chiming in on what it is. But productive conversations about how we use this power for good and how we continue to change people's lives and speak for them and look out for them. That I can tell you have that heart and passion. And speaking of that, when it comes to the importance of voting and protecting the freedoms for people that we love, I know there's a very specific example I think you can kind of talk about that when voter suppression really has its power, terrible things happen. And can you kind of speak about, I don't know if many people know about the Quitman 10+2 and that as something that's going on in your state that you're trying to go against?
Absolutely. So I was talking to my friend Will and his son Liam today about democracy. And today was important because the current governor went to Brooks County to the city of Quitman. And this matters because 12 years ago in Quitman, Georgia, Brian Kemp as Secretary of State had originally 10 women plus 2 more arrested for registering and encouraging voters to vote by absentee ballot. And here was what was going on. Quitman is in Brooks County and the school district was majority Black, but the school board was all white. And so they said, we need more representation that looks like the kids in these schools. So they organized themselves, they registered to vote, and they used a mechanism called absentee ballots. They followed the law, they did everything right, and they won. Well, the people who lost got so mad, they called the Secretary of State, Brian Kemp. And even though they did not do a single thing wrong, he had them arrested, some of them on Christmas Eve. They were charged with 120 felonies. Their pictures, these are school teachers, these are community members. They are on the front page of the newspaper accused of committing felonies. One woman nearly committed suicide, and it took years, and they were exonerated on every single charge. But because Brian Kemp didn't think they had the right to use the same tool that everyone else had used for years, he had them arrested. And it's that kind of behavior that we know he has continued as governor. And so it's so important that on a day when I was meeting with Black business owners here in Georgia, he decided to go to the place where he helped eliminate access to the right to vote. And that matters because your priorities show, and his priorities are not about the people of Georgia.
Priorities show. I think when you talk about that specific example and just how egregious it is that they had to go through that trying to exercise their right to vote. A lot of people ask, there's so many powers that be. Brian Kemp is a bad example of when that power is used for wrong in that sense. what's your best way of explaining to the the average voter the assurances that their vote matters, their vote counts, it's protected, and that throughout that whole process from registration to either early voting, with mail-in ballots or going to the polls, that it's going to matter and that it actually counts?
So I start with, if it didn't matter so much, they wouldn't put so many obstacles in your way to get there. But, doing a terrible analogy to your sport, you wouldn't expect to show up on the last night of the finals and win if you hadn't played in a single game, hadn't practiced a single day. You wouldn't expect suddenly to be the victor. You know that you've got to show up again and again and again and build your power and build your stamina. Well, that's what voting is. We've got a lot of ills in society, but it's not going to be solved with a magic wand. We have to keep going back and voting. And the reason I know it works is because when we do it and when we navigate those obstacles, things change. In the state of Georgia, when I ran in 2018, I did not win. I know this. I know I'm not the governor. And I could have been very disappointed and decided to stay out of things. But instead, I started an organization and we sued the state. We said, you need to be better about letting people vote. And over 4 years, we were able to get them to change so many laws that in 2020, we were able to elect the first Black man and the first Jewish man to the US Senate from this, because what it signals is that our voices have power, but we also have protection. And that's why governors matter. I'm not the governor yet, but I'm working to make sure that when you register, you can stay on the rolls. When you cast your ballot, it gets counted. But when we show up in numbers, there are too many of us for them to stop us all. And that's the most important antidote to voter suppression. Overwhelming the polls with our power and our presence. We've made a lot of progress in Georgia, but there's still obstacles. And that's why we want people to vote early so that they can show up and show out and go home.
Talk to me. And I know you said like you're not governor right now, but you're about to be, and this is obviously an opportunity for hopefully an amazing audience and how we can continue to share this message. You have ran an amazing campaign. Your platform is super strong, obviously through healthcare, housing, education, the priorities that you stand for. For everybody who's interested, those who are not, those who are going to see this, just for you, like, what can you do for the state of Georgia as governor, whether, whatever time frame, the first year, throughout, throughout that process, like what are you ready to do for Georgia?
Sure. Look, and you said it, it's the fundamentals. It's education, healthcare, housing, and the ability to make a good living. So education, I can make sure we have financial aid, need-based financial aid. Georgia doesn't have it. We're only one of only 2 states that doesn't have financial aid for students. So students have to go into debt to get an education if they don't have an A average. And look, I believe a C student should still be able to see their way to college. I want to make sure that we have apprenticeships and free technical college. Exactly. Exactly. I want to make sure that we have healthcare. As I mentioned, Georgia doesn't have Medicaid expansion, which means 500,000 Georgians simply have to get sick and hope for the best because the governor won't help. But we can also save our hospitals, save lives, and create 64,000 jobs. And that's not a made up number. That's really what happens. We can make housing affordable in Georgia. Georgia has a $6.6 billion surplus. That's billion with a B. That's after you paid every bill, after you put 15% aside in a rainy day fund, we still have that money left over. I want to put that money into our people. I want to expand Medicaid. I want to pay for housing and not take care of everyone's problems, but take care of the big problems so people can focus on their lives. And then I want to make sure people can make a living. Right now, Georgia has we have low wages and low unemployment. That's because so many people have 1 or 2 of those jobs. So I want our teachers to make more money than they make right now. Right now, a starting teacher in Georgia makes less than a starting teacher in Mississippi. We could solve that. We just need a governor who'll do so. But we should also be able to start Black and brown owned businesses. Right now, it's a 100-year gap between majority owned businesses and minority owned businesses. You don't have to take anything away from majority owned businesses. We've got enough that we can expand the pie so more people have access. I can do all of that as governor because we've got the money, we've got the time, we've got the laws, and now we just need the leader. And that's my plan.
I love that. Um, Obviously, I'm in California, and I'm registered to vote out here in our races, and in tune with some of the issues that are in our backyard. And you just spoke on what's going on in Georgia. For those that want to kind of participate in outside of their area, and I hope this live is a part of this process. But how would you recommend people galvanize their energy, their resources to help those that who, or how would you advise those who don't live in Georgia to help out, with this election run in this campaign?
So go to stacyabrams.com/volunteer to sign up. But one of the reasons I'm so excited to talk to you is that when we first met in 2019, you understood that no matter which state we lived in, we were all in the United States together, and our fortunes, our lives are linked. And right now in Georgia, we have one of the most restrictive abortion bans in the country. And regardless of how you feel about abortion, it should be a woman's choice because it's directly connected to her ability to make a choice about her life. Well, in the South, from Tennessee down to Florida, from Texas all the way to South Carolina, that's 56% of the Black population of the United States. And none of the Black women in this part of the country have access to abortion care. And that means that if you have a miscarriage, your doctor may not be able to help you. If you have an ectopic pregnancy, if you are a victim of rape or incest, it's all of these things that are directly connected. And so in California, if you reach out and help a voter in Georgia understand what's at stake, you are saving lives not only in Georgia, but across the South. If you care about access to healthcare, if you care about cancer treatment, working to help elect me in Georgia means that more people get to survive. I am proud to be an American because I know all of our lives are connected. And what democracy does is it links us together. And so if you're willing to sign up to volunteer, we'll put you to work, because when we succeed here, everyone succeeds.
That's so good. Knowing that we're all connected, there's a message just in there in terms of, I think, how the tide has changed over the last, 4 to 6 years, really. And obviously the use of people's platforms, the idea that, as you said, all issues are connected in some way, shape, or form. And you can't turn a blind eye to what's going on in our country right now. And I want to ask a question specifically, to you and your campaign around, obviously Kemp right now and the job it's going to take to win this race. But can we really shock the system with massive turnout and retire Kemp? And I actually asked that question because that was submitted from one of the watchers here who submitted a question ahead of time. So I wanted to get a couple of those in. But can we really shock the system and retire Kemp?
Absolutely. So those people, for folks here in Georgia, there have been some polling, and the polling is wildly, just swinging. So today there was one poll that has 51-41, and the other one has it at 50-49. Now, in the 51-41 poll, by their own admission, they asked 51% of Republicans how they would vote. Shockingly, they didn't pick me. and so that poll is you got to kind of set that one aside. But in every credible poll where they actually look at people who look like Georgia, it's a 2-point race. It is only about who shows up. And so, yes, if every person eligible to vote who wants me to be the leader, who wants their lives to get better shows up, yes, we absolutely can win. And we know we can win because they've spent tens of millions of dollars trying to convince you not to like me.
You can't,
You don't fight that hard when you don't think there's anything to lose.
Follow the money. No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
I was in the studio. I was ad-libbing, like.
Please.
No, that's what we're about to do, and the fact that I got to bring you on here to feel that energy. Hopefully, everything that you've said lands home with the voters that are going to be turning up. Speaking of that, want to get some really key information out for everybody so that they know what's happening, when it's happening, and so we don't miss any key dates. Early voting begins October 17th,
Correct.
and it ends on November 9th. So October 17th to November 9th. Sorry, 4th. Sorry.
Yes.
4th.
Yes.
October 17th to November 4th.
Yes.
And then election day is on November 8th. And we know who we're voting for. So we know that you are the best person for the job. You have a lot of trust and support and energy behind you. So we encourage every single person to don't wait to vote. If you can do it early, do that, get ahead of the game, make your plan as soon as possible. There's a lot of resources available to you to make that happen, and make sure you are able to cast your ballot in whatever way suits you. And just know that there are so many people out there, Stacey, that love and support you, that are inspired by your accountability and your just role in leadership, and your example of leadership, because even in the face of adversity, even when they knock you down to the mat, there's a lesson to be learned, that you just keep fighting, that you continue to pound the pavement and find ways to move the needle, to look out for people, and nothing's really going to stop you. And we know that you are in this position because you've carried that your entire life. So just wanted to say thank you for that example. I can use a little bit of that in my world on a day-to-day on the basketball court, but even more importantly, as hopefully the next governor of Georgia, that would be something that everybody can get behind. So just wanted to say thank you for your example.
Steph, thank you for taking the time today. Thank you all. Go to StaceyAbrams.com/voting for more
Do it.
information. And know that Steph Curry is the greatest of all time. Thank you.
She said it, not me. I appreciate this. We'll make sure this is going to be packaged and put around the world for everybody to hear, and especially if you know anybody in Georgia. I keep telling y'all, anybody in Georgia, up and down to 85, Atlanta, everywhere, all the way around. Make sure they are informed, and they are in the know, and they are supported in their voting process as well. So thank you, Leader Abrams. We really appreciate your time. I know you are super busy, and we'll be staying tuned.
Thank you so much. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely. We'll see everybody later. Thank you very much.